All right, everyone. I'm joined by Coach Boals for a special summer edition of the Ohio Bobcats Coaches Show. Coach, I think we have to start with Jason Preston deciding to stay in the NBA. Before I ask you about how you're going to replace a player like that, just take me through, as a coach, how proud you are to see a guy like that come from his situation, his background, incredible story, incredible young man, to make it to where he's at today.
Yeah, I mean, it's his story and his life's a movie, and to get to where he is today, the adversity he's overcome, the perseverance he's had, the belief he's had in himself, is unbelievable. And I think if you look at it, it's great for our university, it's great for our program, great for him, and it was a tough decision for him. He's kind of right on that late first round, early second round, bubble, and got a lot of feedback from some teams, and I think I had about 10 to 12 teams tell me he could come back next year and be a late lottery, early 20s pick. But I'm so happy for him and excited for his future. He's going to be a great pro.
As a coach, sometimes players come to them and ask them, "What do you think I should do?" Did you give him any direction, or did you say this is your decision and try to help him in other ways?
Yeah, the biggest thing is it was his decision, and I would try to gather as much information, talk to as many people as I could. Obviously, he had a great NBA combine and interviewed really well. I mean, I can't tell you how many people told me he was the best passer in the draft. Had the highest IQ in the draft, just by the questions he was asking. The NBA personnel. So I think that says a lot about who he is as a person too.
You had a chance to see that over the past 2 years, and the country kind of saw that when he played against Illinois and obviously in the NCAA tournament. But for you, what's it like getting to see a guy where you knew all of those things, but now everybody else is getting to see it? NBA coaches and scouts and people that are fans of the NBA. It's not just, this little pocket in Southeast Ohio that knows who Jason Preston is.
Yeah, I think, the Illinois game kind of put him on the radar, and the NBA combine gained some buzz for him, because not a lot of people have seen him, not a lot of people have been out at all this year. Didn't see anybody. And I think if you really look at it from his standpoint, the NCAA tournament run, the MAC tournament run, really helped him. And, now people know who he is, and, he's an elite passer. Like, he just, he's on the par with D'Angelo Russell, Evan Turner, those guys with that vision. They could see things, transpiring and happening before they happened. And, just, going to be a great pro.
Can't wait to see what he does. If he's drafted, he'll be the first Bobcat taken since 2003. Let's talk about who might replace him. We saw a lot of Mark Sears last year, especially when JP got hurt. Who else might step into a point guard role like that?
Yeah, I think, there'll be probably a lot of people. We're going to bring in somebody else as well. And, Mark obviously stepped in last year when JP was out and did a phenomenal job. And, that growth from freshman to sophomore year, is normally when you see a big jump in kids. And, Mark was here summer one. He was one of 5 people who stayed and worked out. He's gotten better. And, I'm excited to see what he does. And like I said, we'll bring somebody else in as well. But I think we have a pretty mature group, a veteran group. We have Jason Carter coming back, Ben Vanderplas. We added a couple freshmen. Obviously, got Leonard McDay, Ben Roderick, Miles Brown. So we have some experienced guys, Dwight Wilson around, Mark, to help him out.
How important is that to have all of those guys back? But also, have you had a team like that before where a sizable amount of them are coming back? A few did transfer away, but there really wasn't any massive senior that had to leave, or somebody that made the decision to transfer somewhere else after being part of that for the full 4 years. What does that mean for a program to have that experience back?
Yeah, I mean, that continuity means a lot. The experience you can't replace. And I think if you look at the climate of college basketball, right now, there's 1,500 kids in the transfer portal. And we lost 4 kids to the portal. And, going into the end of the year, we had, our whole team coming back on paper. And, then we had, Jason declare for the NBA draft. We had 4 kids transfer. So, we brought in a couple freshmen, brought another transfer. We'll bring in, another high school kid or another transfer to help out as well. So I think it's going to be year to year for every team.
You mentioned bringing someone in. What has it been like now that you can go out and see these kids play and recruit them in person, as opposed to the COVID year where it was, you're trying to connect with these guys, but you're doing remotely. You can't see them in person. All of those things that were part of what college basketball was. It was odd last year. Now you're a little bit more normal this year in recruiting?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting dynamic these next couple of years, because the freshmen going to be sophomores, juniors, seniors. All those kids get an extra year of eligibility, and this is the only year you can have that super senior year. So, when we have 3 juniors next year, if those kids decide to come back, we have to use that as one of our 13 scholarships.
Hmm.
So, you have to keep that in mind. And then, you're trying to play catch up, where a lot of these kids have not been seen, these 22 kids. And, you want to try to lay eyes on 23 kids if you can. But, I think it's important to do your due diligence, evaluate when you can, and understand that it's going to be a fluid deal. And then at the end of the year, you have the transfer portal. So there's a lot of dynamics involved, with recruiting right now.
You mentioned Jason coming back from OU, Xavier, OU. So what went into that discussion with him? He was obviously a fan favorite, and everyone knew how talented he was when he did leave, made that decision to go to Xavier. How were you able to bring him back, and what was that discussion like of having a guy like that come back to Athens?
Well, number one, he's a great young man. He's fun to be around. Obviously, very experienced and mature. He's going into his 6th year of college with his redshirt year when he was here, and when he got hurt. But when I got the job, I met with him, and I think it was almost a predetermined thing. He was leaving, no matter who the coach was. And I basically told him, like, hey, I'd love to have you, love to coach you, but if you got 1 foot in, 1 foot out, then leave. It's just a special place at Ohio University. We're going to find people to win.
Sure.
And he had gone through a couple of years of losing and wanted to go to a winning program and play in the NCAA tournament. And ironically, he ended up going to Xavier, and they didn't make the tournament. His 2 years there, he started almost every game, and he was at our games, in our NCAA tournament, watching our guys. And a couple of his best friends are still here, and his girlfriend's still here. And I was approached to see if I'd be interested in him coming back, and I went to Ben Vanderplas and Jason Preston, and asked them, if they'd be willing to take him back, and they said most definitely. He'll fit our culture. He'll fit what we do. He'll be a great addition. And Jason and I talked a couple times on the phone, and we're elated to have him back.
I want to switch gears here a little bit. We have a new era of college sports after NIL and everything that comes with that. What is your role as a coach when it comes to that? What have you talked to the university about on how to try to educate these guys, and what advice do you try to provide them, or do you let other people take care of that?
Yeah, I think it's a great thing for these student athletes to be able to, profit off their name, image, and likeness, and a chance to put some money in their pocket. And it'll be an interesting to see kind of where it goes. I think there's a lot of unknowns still, out there, and you have to look at, when you make money, the Pell kids might be affected, the taxes, and really just talking to them about, don't just take anything to take, something. Try to find what your brand is, who you are, something that fits, what you want and what you do, to be able to help. And I think, with the way it went down, and the governor signed his deal in the executive order, and the NCAA is doing their thing. So there's a lot of unknowns right now. Just people are still being educated, but I think that's our job as coaches, to try to help them out and expose ideas to them, and let them do it, and kind of educate them through the process.
Who's your point of contact there? Is it a compliance officer? Is it the athletic director? Who do you go through when you have questions that you can't answer for the players, or when you just try to want to understand a little bit more about what this is like?
Yeah, we'll go through our compliance office, and I think it's new to them too. I mean, I think June 30th, it was pretty much passed, and told what you can do. So you have compliance departments across the country, trying to figure out. And I'm sure there's a lot of people in schools that interpret it differently, and different states do it differently. So I think it'll be an evolving, deal to figure out how we can help them, and what we can do, and what they can do.
We missed out on a Jeff Boals and Miller's Chicken when you were playing back in the day, so maybe someone will get that on your team now.
There you go. There you go.
I just want to ask too about, as you progress through the summer, how often do you get to contact the guys? What does summer look like, and what do you, as a coach, get to do with them as you're kind of on the road recruiting right now?
Yeah, so we're allowed to have 8 weeks with them in the summer, to work out, and we left summer 1 voluntary, and we had, like I said, the 5 guys stay summer 1, and we worked them out 3 of the weeks that they were there. Then they were in the gym on their own. They could lift every week voluntarily, and then when everyone came summer 2, we'll do kind of 5 weeks of team stuff, and then we did 1 extra week with the other guys that just got here individually. So we'll do some things. We won't use our whole time. I think it's such a long year. Our guys do a great job of getting in the gym on their own, but we had 2 team practices last week. This week we'll have 2 next week as well, and just kind of start implementing. I think the good thing is we got 2 freshmen. We have a 6-year senior and Jason coming back who's played Division I basketball, and then if we sign another guy or 2, we'll try to integrate them as much as we can, because summer 2's already started. So I think when you have a core group of guys back, you can do a little bit more advanced stuff right now in the summertime and really emphasize what we need to get better at from the beginning of the year and kind of build on it.
Have you already noticed the change of how you're able to go about coaching because of vaccines and moving past COVID a little bit, of having a little more interaction with your guys, or has that not come yet?
Yeah, we're going to do some team stuff, this summer that we had not been able to do last summer, and eat some meals together as well. Everything used to be grab and go. So I think a lot of schools missed on that chemistry piece where you're able to do some team building stuff and hang out in the locker room and eat team meals together. So I think that'll be a welcome change this year going in.
Just last question for you. I'm not sure if I'll have a chance to talk to you after the NBA draft, but if Jason does get drafted, what does that say about Ohio University now as a program? First player drafted since 2003. What will that mean to you and to the program at OU?
Yeah, I mean, it'll mean a lot, to our university, to our program, to Jason as well, to see his path and the development that he, got when he was here. And if you really look at it, Justin, like you said, I mean, he's the 2nd player since 2003 in the Mid-American Conference to be drafted,
right, and
the 2nd point guard since 1997 to be drafted. And I think when you're recruiting, obviously it's going to help a lot to see where he was when we got here, averaging 5.5 points a game to where he became now. And it's the true American dream and a great story. And he's definitely going to get drafted, and I'm excited to see where and what he does.
Well, looking for the best for him, and can't wait for the season to start for you guys defending the MAC championship there. Thanks for your time, Jeff.
No, I appreciate it. Great seeing you, and thanks for all you do.